changes. We found it. We're only 1 minute. I'm living with her for the next 2 days.
I start being good bill.
It's enough out of you.
Right.
All right, we're good.
Yes.
Good evening. Today is Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 at 6 p.m. We are in the Brecksville-Broadview Heights Education Center, 6638 Mill Road, Brecksville, Ohio. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. Public participation is governed by Board Bylaw 0169.1, public participation at board meetings. Following the regular meeting, the board will meet in executive session for the consideration of the appointment and compensation of a public official, item A per board policy 0166 executive session. This meeting will be live streamed via YouTube and will also be recorded for later viewing. Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel where all recordings are posted. Item 1B, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 1C, roll call.
Mrs. Gaelic,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes. Moving on to item 2, President's announcements, item A. So the past few days, the board and some of the administration was down in Columbus for the OSBA Capital Conference. It's an annual conference for board members, superintendents, treasurers, administrators, leadership. So I attended a session down there that was quite interesting. It is the details are here. What it's called is OEPI, which is Ohio Education Policy Institute Research Update, School Funding Formula and School Choice Overviews, Property Reappraisals and Property Tax Reform Overview, and School Levy Update by Dr. Howard Fleeter. This was a 2-hour presentation. The slide deck is 68 slides long, and it is chock full of a lot of information. So I'm just going to take a couple hours and walk through this slide deck, or maybe not, but I thought I would share it with the public. This is not for the faint of heart, but for those who are really interested in a lot of detail and a lot of background on kind of where we are in Ohio with all of these school funding related issues and property tax. It's a worthwhile time to invest and look at this slide deck. So it's linked here, it's attached here into this agenda item. So again, those who have an interest in maybe a deep dive of how we got to where we're at and where we're going, it's worth some time, even if you just peruse it. Item 2B, notice of consent. Do any board members wish to remove any items from the consent agenda?
No, but I do have a question.
Okay.
Am I free to ask it?
Sure.
So, in the consent agenda, correct me if I'm wrong, we're voting on some certified recommendations and then pulling down into the superintendent's recommendations. That's where we're voting on classified and supplemental.
Correct.
Normally, don't we have all 3 that we're voting on?
Yes, but to the 2 that are pulled down in the superintendent recommendation, we have some board members that are going to abstain, family members
Okay.
or those related to them.
Okay, thank you.
So it's not part of the consent agenda, so that.
Gotcha. Very good.
Yeah, and we pre-pulled it off before the meeting, right? Instead of doing the step now, of pulling it off, right? Yeah.
Completely fine.
No, yeah,
I did
Yep.
chance
Yeah.
to ask before.
Good question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and just for those viewing at home, consent agendas are a series of agenda items that the board can approve with one vote to approve all of them. But if there are certain items that board members need to abstain from, in particular, when we're doing hiring, and it might be a board member's relative who might be being a coach or a volunteer or an advisor in some way, then it's best for them to abstain from the vote. So by pulling it out, it can be voted on individually as opposed to part of a consent agenda, which if it was part of a consent agenda, you'd have to abstain on the entire consent agenda. But when it's pulled out separately, they can just abstain from that particular item. Okay, moving on to item 3, board areas responsibility, legislative OSB liaison, Ellen.
I do have an update, which actually kind of feathers on what you just mentioned about the presentation by Dr. Fleeter at the Capitol Conference earlier this week. Unfortunately, the House and the Senate are back in session this month and I think part of next month, but they don't seem to be doing anything about all these school funding issues. At least that I can tell. There was something passed last week that has to do with what county auditors can do, but I'm not sure that applies in Cuyahoga County since we have a charter county. Do you know the answer to that, Craig? Okay, so it doesn't even apply to us. All right. There was legislation passed, moved forward earlier this week by the Ohio House Education Committee that would require public schools to show students a video of fetal development, despite concerns from physicians that the video is medically inaccurate. So that's going on. They're not trying to solve any of our school funding issues, but they're trying to pass some legislation about videos that need to be shown in schools about fetal development. So anyway, that's all I have to say about the legislative updates at this point.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Cuyahoga Valley Career Center, Ava.
Well, Dave Mangus went ahead and had the 5-year forecast accepted. And we had talked about this at the last board meeting as well. And the fact that there was a 2% collection dip due to the economic factors that are going on. And there are obviously, even in the news, some assistance that's going to be available for people that are delinquent. And I don't know if this would apply to the CVCC collections, but they're going to be okay for the next 5 years. And I'm sure it's due to the excellent fiscal responsibility that Rick Burdine brings to the position. There were adoption of policies, just as we had adopted a number of policies. They too had a tremendous number of policies that were edited and revised. In addition to that, there was a hospitality and food preparation program presentation. This was the former Hotels and Resorts name that's been renamed, and all of the things that they're able to contribute to the economy and to the possibility of employment for the students as they graduate. And then the last item was that Jackson Krause was the Student Connection highlight member this past month. And he is a junior at Brecksville Broadview Heights High School. And he's enrolled in the cosmetology program, which I think is wonderful. His mom had apparently been a receptionist at a local salon, and that began his journey to the creativity that is found in both cosmetology as well as styling and designing clothes, et cetera, that goes along with it. So congratulations to Jackson, and that is all I have.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Moving on to curriculum, Tish.
Yes, so we have 247 staff who've completed their 14 hours of personalized professional development. And so they will get to enjoy all of next week off for Thanksgiving. those who haven't will get to spend time in professional development here in the district on Monday and Tuesday with Dr. Martin. I know that he's looking forward to that.
They are so lucky.
Yep. And then public notification has gone out. If you are interested in reviewing the curriculum that is being considered for adoption for our 6 through 8 ELA, the curriculum is Amplify. It is an extension of our K to 5 curriculum. It's structured literacy. It aligns with the science of reading. You just need to go and schedule with Dr. Martin's office, and you can come in and review that curriculum. It is open to the public. Our value added data has been released. There will be more to come with that. We have not, Dr. Martin has not yet dived into that data yet. Yep, you're working on it. And then highlight for our staff and for the district, we have 21 K to 5 staff that are currently at the TESOL conference down in Columbus. TESOL stands for Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. And I was practicing that, knew that I would mess that up. But we do have staff that are presenting and then staff that are attending. So it's a great professional development opportunity for our staff and our students who are English speaking as their second language. So, and that is all for curriculum.
Okay, thank you. Finance, myself and Tish. So audit, any audit update?
We'll be filed for GAP next week, but they still have to come out for the financial audit in December.
Okay. Transportation, myself, have been no transportation appeals, so all is quiet on that front. Board policy, Lisa and Ellen.
Yeah, there's an update that we'll be talking about later in the meeting, or multiple updates that we'll be talking about later in the meeting.
Okay, moving on to BBH Schools Foundation, Tish.
Yeah, just a couple highlights from the Schools Foundation just had their monthly meeting last night. They had a special guest speaker, that attended. Cassie Spangler, our Director of Pupil Services, came and gave a great presentation on the grants that the foundation oversees and the monies that are spent in the district for our students with disabilities. And it was very thorough and it was awesome. So they were excited to hear from Cassie. And then the big news is the fundraiser date is set. So put it on your calendar. It's February 26th of 26. It will be a continuation of a Toast to Our Future from last year. It will be at Michelangelo's, and it's queued up to be another great event next year. So get it on your calendars now. And that's it.
Great, thank you. Safety, Ava and Lisa.
There is nothing to report.
Excuse me. Sustainability, Ava and Ellen.
So Mrs. O'Mara organized a sustainability meeting last month on October 20th, where we got an update on some different sustainability efforts in the district. And just kind of tag teaming on that, Brian Koss, who's here at the board office, and Kathy Broderick, who is a teacher at the middle school, were involved in getting the district pre-approved for a grant from the Cuyahoga County Solid Waste District. Final applications for the grant, which is called the 2026 Waste Reduction, Recycling and Composting Equipment Grant, are due January 30th. And Mr. Koss is already working on getting that out. He has a meeting scheduled for next week, but the grant funds can be used for a variety of things, such as recycling containers, waste production equipment, water refill stations, even things like reusable plates, trays, and cutlery. Anyone in the district wanting to get involved, there's a meeting here on Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
And it's for $25,000.
Yes.
So I
Thank
think
you.
it's significant if we were lucky enough to.
Great, thanks. Before you move on, Craig, I noticed the camera seems to be pointed just to the right side of the board meeting, so I don't know if that's
Purpose.
Okay,
I'll work on
well,
this.
you work on it. We'll move on to
Moving, I noticed it
Yes.
earlier, it was moving.
PSO, Lisa.
Okay. For the PSO at the elementary school, PSO hosted Trunk or Treat on October 24th. That's always a huge event. They said they had over 1,200 participants and they gave out 25,000 pieces of candy. I know the high school admin was there and had a trunk, so I know that appreciate everybody who came to that event. I don't know if people know this, but at the elementary school, the PSO sponsors a couple assemblies every year. They pay for that and organize the speaker. And this year they had Jim Basketball Jones come in. I know he's come in years past, and he does assemblies targeted at each grade level where he'll talk on a theme for that grade. And he does basketball tricks, and it seems like the kids have a really fun time. It's very silly, but also inspirational. So thanks to PSO for organizing that. And then they're also helping at the elementary school with the new PBIS cart. So for grades 3 through 5, students can earn red tickets for exhibiting positive behaviors, and then they can buy items from the cart. So Miss McCauley brought the cart to the last PSO meeting and she showed it off, and it's very cute. So I think it's like every Wednesday or every other Wednesday. They go into the pods, and then the kids can come out and turn in their tickets for little things, and they're super excited about that. So if you want to volunteer to help with the cart or you want to donate anything for the cart, you can reach out to Miss McCauley, and I'm sure she would be really grateful for the help. At the middle school, I think the PSO is taking a page out of the podcast book, and they're having guest speakers at all the PSO meetings. So they had last month, they had Officer Garcia talking about safety and security. Just today, Mr. Rings talked about bullying at the PSO meeting. And then I can see that Dr. Martin and Mr. Harrison are on the agenda for future meetings. So that's exciting. I know people really enjoy those. And the same is happening at the high school. Last month, Mr. Jacob discussed bullying and their procedures at the high school. And then at the most recent meeting, Mrs. Owens talked about the college planning process. So I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about those. I think parents really like it to hear hearing about a topic from the people that, deal with it every day. All the PSOs are supporting the Yuletide Hunger Drive, which is in partnership with the cities of Brecksville and Broadview Heights. So until December 3rd, people can donate either money or food items, and each building has specific food items. So if you'd like to contribute to that, you can either reach out to Brecksville and Broadview Heights Human Services for more details, or if your child is at a school, they have been sending out a list of specific items that they can drop off at school. And the next PSO council meeting is Thursday, December 4th. And that's it for PSO.
Thank you. Co-curricular, extracurricular, Tish and Lisa.
Oh, yeah. I just wrote down a couple notes. I mean, we could probably be here all day talking about this.
yeah.
Yeah, it was hard to pull out a few things. Congratulations to the boys soccer team. They reached the state semifinals, which is the Final Four. It was an amazing game. It was really impressive. They did such a great job. And then I did want to point out, for Veterans Day, there were services at each school. And specifically at the middle school, the 6th grade band, orchestra, and choir performed. And then at the high school, the band went to the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad and they performed for veterans on the train. So that was nice to see our music students participate in those events. I got to go to the 6th grade event and it was really well done. It's really special to hear the kids and to hear all the stories about service of the veterans in our community. So,
And I don't want to, it's so hard to
yeah.
capture all of the excellence in extra and co-curriculars. But don't want to leave out Kyle Brown was our
Mhm.
cross-country runner that made it to states. So to give him a special shout out and just to say, I know it doesn't need to be said over and over, but our students are performing in the classroom and just performing at every level, on and off the field, in our extra and co-curriculars. I just think it's something we should all be very proud of.
Thank you. Permanent improvement facilities, myself and Ellen. I know what we're going to have later in this meeting, we're going to be voting on going out to bid for phase 2 of our campus master plan, which is the installation of another drive and access point onto the campus. And so, okay, yes, so, and more to come. Okay, we're going to move on to item 4, superintendent's communications. I'm going to turn it over to Jeff.
Just a couple quick things. Superintendent update email went out this evening at 4 o'clock. So check your inboxes for that. Lots of highlights throughout the district. Some we've mentioned tonight, others we haven't. Also in there is a link to the latest episode of the Ledger and the Leader, as well as a video recording of the state of the schools. So we had the state of the schools presentation recorded. The same company that does the podcast with us did it for us. So it's nicely done and edited, so you can see the presentation as well as hear the audio from State of the Schools. I just received a text message probably about 30 minutes ago from Mrs. Kelly Izo, who is on Main Street, USA in Orlando at Walt Disney World, as our band was just marching down Main Street. So they made it there safely, and by all reports are having a great time. Looked a little windy, but much warmer than here. I just want to go back to something that Tish mentioned about the personalized professional development. This was something that was part of the strategic plan, an opportunity for teacher leadership. And, ever since I arrived here, we had already conditioned our families to kind of expect the week of Thanksgiving off, because they had Monday, Tuesday off leading up Thanksgiving. And we were always talking about wanting to do more and more professional development and appropriate, timely, individualized professional development, which is very difficult to do when you do all day professional development for the whole staff. And I've been in education 26 years. And sometimes when you have those all day PD trying to meet everybody's needs at once, there's times I even want to crawl under a rock, just because how effective can we be when we're trying to do that for the masses? So with Dr. Martin's help and his department, also known as Scott Kinkoff, we effectively put together a personalized professional development opportunity for our staff that over the course of a year, they could complete up to 14 hours of professional development. Now, some of our staff completed well over 14 hours. Most of our staff completed the 14 hours. I think it's a very small number that actually will have to report on Monday and Tuesday. So when teachers created, delivered, and participated in professional development throughout the calendar year of up to 14 hours, and they wouldn't have to report to work on Monday, Tuesday. It's twofold. Number one, it gave them professional development that was appropriate for them and their colleagues and what they were working on at the time. And number two, it's also taking care of our staff on the mental health side as well. And if they did the work and put it in, then they could have the Monday and Tuesday off as well to prepare for the holiday or whatever they so choose to do. I want to thank the staff for taking the risk. I know at the beginning when we started talking about this, there was all kinds of conspiracy theories of why we were doing it. And they just didn't want to believe that we wanted to do professional development the right way and do it in a personalized manner. And I think it really, for the first year and for the first time through it, I think it was a huge success and will only get better. And we will continue to look to improve that as the years go by. So thanks to the staff completely for participating. Coffee chat tomorrow morning. I believe we are going to be at the coffee club tomorrow at Broadview Heights at 9 a.m. So from 9 to 10, we'll be there. Mr. Jacob will be joining us as well, because the success of his presentation at the PSO meeting about bullying and harassment and things like that seems to be a hot topic in our social media world. He gives a great presentation along with Josh Bacco about what actually happens when someone claims or is being harassed or bullied, and what the school does about it, and how we intervene. Even when it's not considered to be bullying, how do we intervene? So it'll be very educational for many people. And then, as always, not much of an agenda after that. Open Q&A, and Craig and I can update the community on various topics related to our school district. So with that, that's about all I have for updates tonight. So thanks.
Okay, thanks. Moving on to item 5, treasurer's communication. Turn it over to Craig.
All right, so this is the financial report for the month of October and how we did overall, which things are looking good overall, partially due to a mixture of things. When we look at the revenue side of things, the projected total revenue is a little over $58 million. There's the total anticipated receipts by the end of 2026 for the fiscal year, so that'll be June 30th of 2026. There's a $966,000 favorable variance at the time being as of October. As we talked about a little bit last month, we are receiving a relatively large reimbursement that was unexpected, especially to be that large, from the county auditor's office from conducting the sexennial reappraisal. It was almost $600,000 of that. So that is a little bit of a bonus for us. We'll definitely get that updated for the February forecast. The real estate collection was at 46.5%, which is for us trending just a little bit upwards from where it was in terms of where we normally are. So usually the fall collection, we are at about 44 to 45%. This sometimes fluctuates a little bit. So it's not a ton, but it is at 46.5% of the total forecasted amount. So that part is looking good. The one-time property tax reimbursement is highlighted there for you. And it kind of goes through at the very bottom of this, some of the different categories that we have, which is the unrestricted grants and aids at $4.83 million from the state. Property tax allocation is the homestead and rollback. Again, that is what is expected for the total year, and our personal, the POP, or the personal tangible taxes, are also trending well. There were some revenue variances if you look year over year, and part of that was because last year we received the homestead and rollback in the month of October. This year we received it in September. So it looks from a monthly perspective that we lost about $1 million, $1.2 million, I think. But that is not the case. It's just a timing issue. So that is highlighted here, that is what happened. But overall, on the revenue side, we are still doing well. When we look at the expenditure analysis and trends, we have the personnel cost dynamics. Salaries and benefits combined showed a favorable $300,000 decrease year over year for the same time period, reflecting strategic workforce planning and benefit optimization. We did have some people that have recently switched to a different healthcare plan, and that is also starting to generate some savings in the month of October when that plan took effect. But it's 0.6% in the largest expense category. So it's not a ton, but it's moving in the right direction. Purchase services and supplies did increase by a combined $150,000, representing operational demands and inflationary pressures. These are two areas that, while they're smaller items in the budget, they're still causing, we can see the inflationary pressures in both of these areas, with services being more expensive as well as supplies. These increases partially offset personnel savings, resulting in a net unfavorable variance, though, of $366,000 so far, which right now, most of that is all in the salaries category. So we'll be watching that just to see. This is the time of the year where there are some fluctuations just because of the way that supplementals pay out, to see some of those other savings. So I'm going to be watching this pretty closely before we get to the February forecast, if we need to make any modifications or adjustments in our overall projections. So then we look at those are the other graphs for each of the categories. So you can see that the graph, the dark red is what was projected and the light red is the forecasted amount. So they're all trending pretty well overall in each of those categories. The cash position shows that beginning balance was about $19.2 million as of right now. With that windfall that we had talked about in revenue, we're looking at a projected at 19.1. So this does alter where we were originally intending to land. And again, we'll look at this and continue to monitor it through the next forecast period at the end of February to see if that still would remain true in terms of our total costs. And then the last part of this is just kind of like a timeline of, again, what we look to see in terms of our year, where we have our current positions and our mid-year challenges. I was cringing today because we had to send payroll out, and then I always forget that the bond payments are due. So this is just that we're really heading into that time of the year where the cash in our operating account gets very low, but I try to not have to go into investments, which I did not have to do last year, to pull any money down to get us through. So we have plenty of money at the time, but at the same time, it's just what's in our bank coffers and our liquid cash before we get our first real estate settlement or advance in January. So just this week, I had to transfer $3 million from savings to cover the payroll as well as the bond payments. So bond payment for the elementary school was $1.6 million that had to go out today. So we wired that money over today to make sure our debt payments are paid on time. And that's about it. Any questions for me? Sure.
This may be premature or unrelated. There's been so much in the news lately about skyrocketing healthcare costs. Is that going to affect the district at any point in the near term, do you think?
So we don't know. I mean, we've had 2 years of double-digit increases. We've been trending pretty well since we moved to Anthem in terms of our total expected claims. I'm starting to see these claims now on a weekly basis since we're now the fiscal agent since the beginning of October. One of the other big changes that's coming to the district, which we've prepared them for, everyone included, is that we are switching the PBM, our pharmacy benefit manager, from Express Scripts, which is under the umbrella of what's called Evernorth, and we're moving to a company called Smith RX. So we're hoping, according to the project, we have some guaranteed savings that were promised to us that they have to back, but we should see about $1.5 to $2 million in savings from the switch to a new PBM, which is Smith RX. Some of those savings are just a different approach that they use in terms of how they work with customers. They seem more customer focused. The problem in the PBM market is that these PBMs like Express Scripts and CVS Caremark also have their own pharmacies. So there's an inherent conflict of interest, but that's the way that the system's designed. So you see constant pharmacy costs increasing. And what they try to do is they try to just promise you all these rebates because they can control all of those things. So one of the things that Smith does is that they work on a flat fee for the consortium. And their goal is to work hand in hand with employees and patients, along with the pharmacies to generate, and the doctors to get the lowest cost. So this will be the first time that we're using companies like Mark Cuban's company. We're using Costco, we're using Amazon, and some of those have much better pricing in terms of how people get their medications delivered. So that is one of the changes that's coming in January that should hopefully help at least the consortium level, kind of stay at least stabilized. So I would say right now we're stable. We still have very low reserves as a consortium, and so I don't anticipate we will see much of a decrease in terms of premiums. We just want to we've stopped all the bleeding. We're making very small incremental improvements, but we definitely need a larger reserve at the moment than what we currently have.
Who did all the research for the change in pharmacy benefits?
So that all gets done by, the consortium we have consultants, which is Assured Partners, and then they also contracted out to a specialty consultants that did a extensive RFP process. So we interviewed several different companies. So yeah.
My district's doing the same thing.
Any other questions? Okay. And then the second part is the cash position and the spending plan are there for you to take a look.
All right, moving on to item 6, new business. Item A, board member healthcare. This section is from the Ohio Revised Code. It is relating to insurance and fringe benefits. I'm going to read it here and then comment. Any elected or appointed member of the Board of Education of a school district and the dependent children and spouse of the member may be covered at the option of the member under any healthcare plan authorized under section 9.90 of the revised code. The member shall pay all premiums for that coverage. The member's exercise of an option to be covered under this section shall be in writing, announced at a regular public meeting of the Board of Education, and recorded as a public record in the minutes of the board. I am looking at subscribing to one of the district's healthcare plans, and to meet Ohio Revised Code, I needed to make this announcement. By electing a healthcare policy from the board, I would pay 100% of the premium, so there is no cost to the district or to the taxpayers. So this is a procedural matter to make this announcement. Any comments or questions? Okay, moving on to item B, permanent improvement presentation update.
Okay. So we have been busy little beavers here and busy little bees. Sorry, I have to make the bees, right?
Yeah.
Why'd I say that?
Where'd that come from?
I don't know. It's all kinds of bees. Bees, we're busy little bees. Looking at some of the permanent improvement items. So we're just here to update the board. We've had 2 different meetings internally with all the different departments, including curriculum, technology, facilities, operations. I don't know if I missed anybody, transportation. So this is just an update similar to what we've done in the past. So we'll start with our financial overview, review our priority list and updates. We last had at a board meeting, which was in April of 2025, look at our ongoing needs, what's coming up, and then also keeping track of kind of what's following up in deferred items. So when we look at these different funds that we have, you can see our current unencumbered cash balances or unencumbered funds for each of the different funds we have, which is the 003 funds, which are two permanent improvement funds, the TTT as well as the district permanent improvement. Those are two different levies that were passed, continuing levies from many years ago. And then we also have the 004, which is the building fund. That is the elementary school. That is what's left that's unencumbered from the elementary school bond issue. And then we have the campus master plan balance, which is the 070 fund, which we created. You'll see that has a large balance. There's a little disclaimer a little bit further down, which I'll get to. So we have estimated receivables for FY26, which is the second half of the collections that would be coming in, which would be about $1 million. We would estimate what's in for 27 because we're basically planning for 26 and 27 of $1.9 million, which would give us a total funds balance of unencumbered of $12.4 million. So we have funds anticipated to use the campus master plan driveway project, which would be basically expending all of the funds that are in there. We have to wait till bid day savings when this will get updated in the spring. And then non-encumbered project totals from the priority list and ongoing needs is $3.3 million. That's what are we planning to actually spend. And that caveat was that if you remember, just to refresh everyone, that we made a large transfer of $6 million into this fund in June of 2025 to keep it there for safekeeping, just in case we have a need for it. At the same time, right now it is anticipated that that would be returned according to the forecast in 2028, fiscal 2028. But we're kind of not touching it for that reason. So that would leave us a possible carryover in future planning for 28 of about $600,000. Okay. So when we look at our priority list from April and our updates, you can see some of the stuff and the work that we've done, which are that the high school chillers were $908,000. What was the budget? What did we spend? That work is completed. The high school bleacher repair, that was a carryover from actually, I feel like it was for like 2 fiscal years. But we estimated at 32.5, we spent 33,000, that is complete. If you've been over to the elementary school, we had some interesting design work that was causing some issues. So we made a small investment to get the hexagonal skylights covered and sealed so that they're actually better and easier for maintenance. That is complete as well.
That's for further explanation there. It's as you're walking up to the front door on the overhang, there were hexagonal like skylights, but there was no glass in it. It was just right into the ceiling or right into the sky.
Sunroof.
Sunroof.
Yeah.
That was permanently open, right?
Yeah.
So weather came through, everything else started to rot some of the material because it was getting wet. So we roofed over top of it and just covered them up so that we don't have any further damage from the weather. Kind of one of those things that designers design and it looks all nice and cute, but in reality and practicality, not such a great idea.
Well,
Yep.
did we roof over it or did we put a clear shell over it?
No, we
It's
roofed
roofed.
over it
Roofed over.
because to get custom clear acrylic kind of
Hexagon,
things
right.
was not in the budget. Let's just put it that way.
And I think you had to do dome too, I think, for some reason, because the weight maybe.
Yeah.
We did take delivery of 2 Bluebird buses in July and early August. So that has been completed. We are just about complete. I think they're doing punch list items for the middle school roof replacement, which was estimated $560. And Rachel, is that what we've spent or is that what the total cost will be? Sorry, do you know that answer?
I think that's what the total cost will be.
Okay. Then we have the transportation fuel system, also maybe the forever and a day growing project, which is a small project. Maybe it's the small projects now. That is not complete yet, but it is ongoing to try to update the fuel system over at the transportation and maintenance complex. And then we also had asphalt done this summer at the TMC, at the bus garage, the bus lot. That was all done, and a couple of other things here on the main campus. The part that we were bidding on the 19th of December, after hopefully the board's authorization, will be the campus driveway, out of the campus master plan for the Hilton driveway. And then we also have maintenance vehicles, a van and a truck, turf replacement, which is coming in summer of 26, middle school abatement, which is an ongoing item, the high school boiler, sorry, I missed that. That is going to be ongoing, but it should actually be done. That actually needs, should be spring of 26, sorry, because they're going to have that delivered sometime in January, February to get that all done, but they may actually not finish till the summer, who knows? And then the high school slab on grade and the mud jacking, which we're in the process, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, actually, of some updates with the mud jacking of the high school slab on grade. Some of the ongoing needs that we talk about every time is vehicles. This has become the hot button item. So you'll see when we look at the actual plan on the next slide is that we'll continue to still purchase 2 new buses, but we are using more student vans. So we've got this student van issue. So we are going to be replacing a van as also adding an additional van to the fleet in fiscal year 2027. And then we're going to continue addressing the aging maintenance vehicles. So we have a whole maintenance vehicle replacement plan that we're trying to stick to, and that includes other vans and trucks in fiscal 28 and beyond.
Can I interrupt to ask
Sure.
a transfer? So do you know how many buses we have and how many vans we have that we use for transporting students?
Yes.
Oh, can you tell me what?
We use 42, I think, every day for
Buses.
buses. We have a total of 52 buses in our fleet.
Okay.
And then I don't know the number of vans offhand, but we have a whole list of them. There's 5 student vans, and then we have other maintenance vans
Oh, okay.
in addition to that. Do you know how many maintenance vans we have? Like 3, 4? I think it's 3 or 4 maintenance vans.
But maintenance vans can't transport students, right?
Correct.
But yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
We have a spreadsheet that is, a whole rotation, has all the information about each bus, each van, number of miles, and where we forecasted that it will come out of the rotation and be replaced. So we can also share that with interested Board of Education members as well.
How long does a bus typically last? Like, what's a lifespan for a bus?
Well, that depends on how well you take care of it. They go by average age of the fleet is what you're trying to maintain. So, you really want to somewhere be between probably 10 and 15 years of your average age. Several years ago, we were trending because the board had bought a lot of different buses. We were anticipating a larger fleet. So we were down to, I think, 7.5, maybe 8 years, I think was our average age of our fleet, which is considered very new. Not that that's a bad thing, but eventually there's a large cost to this because buses used to cost 100,000 and now they cost 150.
Yeah.
So
To what do you attribute the heightened need for the vans?
Student need.
Okay.
Also, and when I say student need, it's not just special education students. We have homeless students who are living elsewhere now, and we're required by law to transport them back here to be educated, so they're not displaced during that time. So we have a few vans that are being used for that on a regular basis. The district that they're living within splits it with us, so we'll transport in the morning, they transport in the afternoon. But some of those type of needs, we've also brought students back in the district that were outplaced and may or may not need special transportation. So just it ebbs and flows, and we're kind of high right now on the need for student van transport, which then has a trickle down effect that makes less vans available for co and extracurricular activities, which is putting a strain on transportation as well.
and I know that we're definitely not the only district dealing with this right now. So I talked to the new treasurer at the ESC and they're hearing about this from other, he just started in October, so I don't think he wants to hear from me yet, but they're starting to already hear about this from other districts. So the ESC is going to be looking at the ability to maybe look at a shared service model when it comes to like vans and whatnot, because when they're going in all these different directions, sometimes we just can't. You almost sometimes have to take a van for one kid, which is not very cost effective. So they might be able to consolidate some of those services. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, but it's something that they're hearing about the same problems that other districts having to do more van transport. So they're looking at a possible shared model that could help us in the future.
This is a state mandate that we have to transport these students. And presumably it's not accompanied by any funding for that.
Correct. Yeah.
It's called the McKinney-Vento.
Yeah. McKinney-Vento is a fund bill.
Yes,
That's a federal though.
Yes.
yes.
So that's not a state.
And for those who pay attention or think that school districts need to consolidate and do things to be more efficient, what Craig was just speaking about is something that the ESC does often and is one of the main things that the ESC provides to school districts is consolidation of services. So when they see a need in multiple districts, they will usually try to jump in and coordinate that. So
Just to give an example
Mhm.
for Ms. Kramer and the public, how far are we having to transport or split the transport with another district?
that trip is back and forth to Berea each day.
Okay, so
We've also done Strongsville too.
Yeah, Strongsville, Berea, Parma. So, but right now it's Berea.
but-
Oh,
It could be anywhere.
yes, I think it's.
could be Toledo.
It could be an hour, it could be Columbus.
Yep.
And there are districts that are dealing with that.
Correct.
Transporting to Columbus and back.
Do private schools have to do this?
No, because the cost of the voucher wouldn't cover the complete cost of tuition at a private school. So I'm assuming that those students wouldn't be able to attend those schools.
Okay, so the other category is curriculum. We currently have about $124,000 of additional curriculum funds being planned for this year to get through fiscal year 26. $640,000 is now planned for fiscal 27, heavily due to that adoption of that 6-8 new ELA curriculum. Dr. Martin doesn't want to meet with me any longer because every time he and I meet, he comes in and cuts money out of the curriculum budget. I just want that to be very clear. It's not me that cuts money out of the curriculum budget. He comes in with his own proposals that somehow get less and less, and I love it.
It's just that interesting way of inspiring me to lower.
You're just you get the credit because you're beating these vendors down to get you a better price, right?
You get the credit. So inspiration.
Oh.
You wanna be-
And it was said earlier, but that curriculum is on display for our curriculum to come, for our community to come in and take a look at. So feel free to schedule an appointment with Dr. Martin. He's there most days and hours.
8 to 5:30. Could make an exception on the weekends if you'd like. Saturday night mark or anything.
Sure.
I do want to speak to that for 1 second, not to delay. But I have heard Dr. Martin say on several occasions, and I think it's important that the community hear this and understand this. He has said that he truly will work past his actual workday and stay later for any member of the community that wants to come in and review, transparently see the curriculum that is up for adoption. And I actually don't think he's joking when he's saying he will come in on a Saturday so
he's
that
not.
people
He's not.
can review the curriculum. So I want the community to hear very clearly that we will make it accessible to anybody to come review it transparently at pretty much any time.
Mhm.
I mean, I think if someone said they wanted to come in at 6 a.m., you would be here. So
Get my work.
I just, I just want the community to, I want to be very clear about that we want to be open and allow people to review curriculum that is up for adoption.
And can those people bring snacks? Is that okay?
For Dr. Martin is who they need to
You
bring.
have cell phones, perfect. Just bring peanut butter and you guys have a party. All right.
So
Am I-
a couple of things that one of these has been on our radar in terms of like we're gonna put it under the guise of technology has been on our radar, which is the LEDs in the building in the district that we still have to maintain, as well as one of the couple areas at the high school and the TLC have come to light of some of the really aging technology that's in these spaces that we host a lot of meetings and many to the public and to the community as well as to the staff. So those are not large projects, but those are things that we're working on that you'll see in the next slide in terms of investing some updates and upgrades to our high school media center as well as the TLC to make sure that they have the technology that they need to do some of the work that they do or presentations that they have. We've talked about LED projects since I've been here. We're in a decent spot. So the board many years ago and the district went through a House Bill 264 project, which ultimately did replace the fluorescent bulbs in the high school and the middle school at one time, probably this building too. With a reduced or a more high efficiency fluorescent bulb. So there was some savings, but this was all before the LED, technological changes. So it's not been as a super high priority than a district who did not already do that, because we will see savings, but we will not see much savings because we've already made one step forward in this world. However, we recently were able to secure a grant for the middle school LED project. We will be partially funded with grant money, and it seemed the right time to at least get one of our buildings checked off the list. So it's actually through the federal government, but it's a pass through to the state for about $475,000 is the total cost for us to update the middle school of what is not already LED updated, which some of that includes the auditorium and the gyms, I believe. So everything else would be replaced or retrofitted to LEDs. And then we would get approximately $200,000 in reimbursement from the state via the federal government. So that is an item that now has moved onto the priority list of permanent improvement because the grant dollars are available for us to get. So, any questions? Okay, and we're being more sustainable because it's LED, right?
Do you know how many LEDs there are? No, I'm just kidding.
There's a lot. There's a lot. The high school project in itself, just for reference, because we wanted to make sure that the entire building would be covered, the high school is almost $700,000 by itself. So it's much larger with even more fixtures than the middle school. So this is really the fiscal 27 projects. One of these is the high school VAV replacements and the backbone to the HVAC system. So this is like the brains behind the HVAC infrastructure at the high school. This is also our VAVs, which are these variable air something, I forget. They're the things that control all the dampers in the rooms and all that fun stuff. But those are very old. They're also not connected. If you the board members who are around when we did the project in 2021, 2022 with Gardner, they updated the controls and they did all the air conditioning and they did more of the VAVs in the middle school. The high school, we did not have enough money to do. So part of that, the project is to get 27 is that we have a bunch of the VAVs that are not working and they're not connected and talking back and forth to our control system. So we're going to start working on these to make the high school more efficient. Asphalt is a smaller project for next year, which is the S-curve to the staff lot at the high school. And then the mud jacking. We believe, at least Mr. Koss believes, that one of our vendors, if you recall, we did go out to bid for this and we decided to reject the bids. One of our vendors who does a lot of, who's done work for us in the past, I shouldn't say a lot, but has done work for us in the past, is going to potentially be able to do the mud jacking and the carpeting under a consortium pricing. So we're exploring that option to get that part taken care of. Because again, we've talked about that for a very long time.
Yeah.
So if that works, that is on the list to also get done for fiscal 27. Media center upgrades, which I talked about. There's, I think we're talking about one window, which is in really bad shape, furniture, projector, technology, microphones, that kind of stuff for the media center. High school, middle school doors. This is kind of dependent on this LED grant because part of what's not covered in the grant is ceilings and not every fixture is being replaced. There are some, if you've been in the middle school, there are what they call egg crate type of really old fixtures. Those would be replaced and that is included in the scope. But then some of those rooms may also need new ceilings, like drop ceilings, because they're just a different ceiling structure. So some of the funds Mr. Koss is going to work on with trying to figure out just to make sure that the project looks clean and looks nice from that standpoint. So we don't know how much we'll have for the middle school and high school doors and windows replacements that need to be done because some of that money may have to go into some ceilings to make sure that the LED project looks good. There will be a section of middle school roofing that's a small section, which is section 5. Small section of middle school asphalt, which will be included. Middle school furniture, beginning to invest in some of our very old classroom furniture. Middle school abatement, which we've talked about as an ongoing need. Mr. Koss is doing, I think, 3 or 4, sometimes 5 classrooms a summer where they're replacing all the 9x9 tiles. They're putting in carpeting. And are they doing painting as well? No. There's something else they're doing. Maybe it's painting. to do give the classrooms a little refresh. And then we have the LED grant project we talked about, and then we're doing a small upgrade to some TLC technology upgrades, 2 student vans, 2 bus purchases, the curriculum we talked about, and I should have put tennis courts last, because I'll let Mr. Harrison talk about the tennis courts, so
So yeah, so we're at that point where we are waiting for TDA to return to us the information we need as far as cost estimates to repair the tennis courts, so that we can then go out to bid, so that we as a district can prepare to make these repairs once the boys season is over in the spring and before the girls season starts in the fall. Those programs have been displaced in the past because of the tennis courts. The tennis courts continue to fail. It is our belief that they are failing because the construction of the courts was not done to spec, and there are some deficiencies in that construction that we will need to repair them. Through that process of repairing it, we'll be able to document further to support our rationale as to why they're failing. And then we will seek to be made whole through the performance bond and or the company who did the original installation. The company who did the original installation has been made aware of all of this. They've been put on notice. They know what our intentions are. And they indicated to us that they'd be happy to have conversations about what the repairs would look like if we would pay them the remaining $50,000 that we owe them for the project that is now failing. Actually, $48,000. $48,000 we still have from that project. We did not pay it because the tennis courts were failing. So they are being less than cooperative and have been less than cooperative throughout this whole process. So under the advisement of David Riley, our attorney, we're going to move forward with quoting it, fixing it, and then going after those funds. So because it's only going to continue to get worse.
And one of the changes is, the law changed. So in the past, we did not necessarily have to bid this. We did the three different quotes or whatnot. We will have to bid the repairs to the courts. So once we get the numbers, which should be by Friday, according to TDA, in 2 days, we should at least have an estimate of what the replacement repair cost will be, and we will go from there. So as of right now, what we've kind of allocated in which would hopefully be reimbursed to the PI fund, is about $300,000. It could be more than that. We don't know what the repair cost will be, but we're holding about 50,000 plus 250, which could obviously allow us to do another project down the road. But in terms of timing and the money that's available, we're holding that money until we have an answer.
The plan for repair at this point in time would be completely tearing up the courts down to the base. And when they get down to the base, verifying the base is still good and replacing the drainage that was poorly installed and or damaged during the process that has created some issues for us, we believe, and then repouring or resetting the asphalt, all the poles, all the fencing, the painting, the striping, all of that. So everything from the base up.
And then the goal would be to then down the road recover from
Correct.
the company that did the original project.
Yep.
Yep. Here's what's left for some of our follow-up and deferred. That just nothing has changed here. So that is there. And then we'll take any additional questions that you may have for the tentative plan. Go ahead.
I have two. How did you get the cost of the turf replacement to be so much lower than what was budgeted?
We'd love to take credit for, our negotiating skills. However, those are consortium pricing on those projects. So there's, when we get to it in the agenda, you'll see we listed the four vendors that we had interviewed and talked to. And this one, not only are they the leader in the industry, but they were also, I believe, of all the companies, they were the cheapest. So we did luck out a little bit that we don't need a lot of work in the aggregate underneath the turf. That it could have considerably increased the cost of the replacement. So we're just replacing the carpet, essentially. There are samples in Brian Koss' office if you want to see what the new turf looks like and feels like. It's a much different technology than the turf that's on the field now. I mean, it's green, looks like turf, but the technology behind it, it performs a lot better. You'll also see colors in there that we have the yellow, red, black, and gray as well as different options. Once we seek approval and receive approval for this project, they will then begin working on renderings on what the turf will look like.
And then later, just shortly, we're gonna be approving the second phase of
Yes.
the campus master plan.
Yep, so we are at that point where it's time to go out for bid. And you know, and the timing of it is working out as far as a good time to be going out to bid. Construction companies are looking to fill their schedule for when the weather turns, obviously after the first of the year. So we have done all the work. I mean, utility poles have been removed, stormwater retention decisions have been made, adjustments have been made to the road and the light and the intersection. So I think we have gone over this with a fine tooth comb a couple of times. We continue to communicate at a very high level, not only with the city of Brecksville, but also with the Chippewa Hills Homeowners Association. Our friends from that association were in 2 weeks ago. And, you know, our last meeting, we talked about it being out of budget, needing to make adjustments to it. They wanted to know what those adjustments were. And so they were happy to see what they were. And everything we've done and everything we will do with this project will do nothing but improve the situation with stormwater for that homeowners association. So they've been excited, and lack of a better phrase, they've signed off on the project. So they're happy with it.
And
That's
do you
great.
anticipate any more meetings of that steering committee for the campus master plan coming up here in 2026?
Yes, once we get past this phase, then I think we'll probably bring that group back together and see where we're at and then what is still out there. I think we've left the conversation that if we were to move forward with the campus master plan after phase 2, we've had some conversations of which phases would come next. Just because they're numbered 1 through 7 doesn't mean they have to be done 1 through 7. And that's where we left that conversation off. I actually had a community member today reach out to me via email to ask me if she could replace Mr. Chase on that committee now that he's become a Board of Education member. So must be a popular group to be part of. So you're already being replaced, Mr. Chase. They're already looking to take your job on the steering or on the campus master plan steering committee. I know. So
if you-
yes, we will bring everybody back together.
And if you ever want to know how much work it takes to get a utility pole removed,
It's a lot.
just ask Rachel.
It's a
'Cause
lot.
One.
Cause yeah, it was a lot more than one pole, but she worked really hard for a very long time to coordinate all of that.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Rachel.
Just- She knows all of the people at all of the utility companies on a first name basis.
Knows all the music that they play while you're on hold.
Yes.
Yep.
They missed deadlines and she called them back and all of a sudden it was gone. And I don't know, that was wild.
Couldn't have just accidentally backed an old van into one of those.
We could get there. That may not have been in the contingency plans, Mark. Mhm.
So I had a quick question with the middle school roof being finished up. So where are we at with roofing? Because we've done a lot of roofing over the years, but I know roofing goes bad over time. So
It does. You're asking the same question I asked and Jeff asked to Mr. Koss. We are, at least at this point, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, other people that were in the room, but I believe that we are done with large roofing projects. So what we are looking at right now are much smaller ones that are just areas that are left that are like the one for next year. I think it's $100,000 is all that's anticipated. So they're much smaller because the large part of everything is mostly done. So it's more about maintaining and all of that. But you're right. In general, we've done a ton of roofing. Obviously, the elementary school is new. The high school is almost completely new as well. So there are a couple more sections of the middle school, but they're much smaller sections.
Okay.
But Mr. Koss says that roofing will still stay on the agenda for a while.
It's okay, it needs to, but
Yeah.
$100,000 projects are much better than $2
Yeah.
million projects.
Correct. Yes. Anything else?
Other questions?
I have a follow-up question about the turf.
Mhm.
So I know that there's no possibility, I'm sure that any vendor could give us a guarantee, but I know there's been discussion with this particular turf that we're getting ready to replace, that it did not kind of live up to its expected life, that it has expired kind of early. Do we know if the turf that we're replacing it with is expected to live its?
Yeah, it's the UV light that does the most damage. A
Okay.
lot of people think it's the amount of play on the turf. Actually, it's the UV light that is
That
more
makes
detrimental to turf. And the new turf has a life expectancy of 10 to 12 years. Where the older turf, that's one of the changes in technology. They've gotten better. It lasts longer than previous years. However, the turf that we're currently replacing did age out probably on the earlier end than maybe the average. Why that is could be a multitude of things, from installation to maintenance to just the weather was that much worse.
Okay.
So I mean, it's not that we got shorted by many years. We're maybe 1 or 2 years premature by some people's opinion. But it's time. It is time. The darker the turf gets with black, that's the fibers are wearing away and failing. So that's where we're at. It's not unsafe. It's more unsightly than anything at the moment, but it will soon get unsafe if we don't replace.
And it comes with manufacturers. It's 8-year warranty.
Okay.
It's from defects, like that kind of stuff, or if it's premature, but
In terms of color choices.
it's gonna be bright red,
Oh, art teacher over
Red.
here, huh?
all red.
On playgrounds and on roofs and oh. Thank you.
Playgrounds and roofs and things like that. And I can't imagine a white
No.
turf. Scientifically, you've got all these UV rays that are destroying the fabric of the AstroTurf. Maybe the lighter colors would.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be green. We will have alternating green as far as like every 10 yards.
Uh-huh.
A lighter shade than a darker shade to give it a visually appealing kind of look.
Got it.
But there'll be all kinds of renderings to take a look at. I mean, there are schools and programs out there that have an all red field, or Eastern Michigan, for example, has the brick yard or the cement yard, they call it. It's gray. The whole field's gray with white lines. So Coastal Carolina, I think, has a teal field. So, there are all kinds of options. We are not going to go to that extreme. When you look at the quotes, though, the one group that was the most expensive, almost $200,000 more, had some really radical designs that they were offering. Like the field was green, but alternating colors. You saw honeycomb design in the field, as well as like dripping kind of honey look as well. I mean, some extreme things that they could do, but will be pretty traditional, but it will be a major upgrade from what we have right now.
Sounds wonderful. I'm sure the kids will
Yep.
love it too.
Since we're asking questions about the turf, can you talk a little bit more about like how much our turf is used? Because I have had questions from community members who question like the price tag on replacing the turf and maybe don't realize the broad range of activities and gym classes and everything that uses it.
Yeah, and the first thing I tell you is you do save money on a yearly basis not maintaining a natural surface. Because if you had to maintain a natural surface in the football stadium, you're looking at anywhere between $25,000 to $35,000 a year is the estimate, from mowing to aeration to seeding to fertilizing to striping, all of that. And then on top of it, with the amount of activities we have, we are already at a disadvantage of only having one competition field on campus. That's why middle school gets bused to Old Stadium to play down there. We are very fortunate that all of our sports programs, as well as the marching band, play well together in the sandbox and they share time on the turf. I mean, this is a compliment to our school district, our employees. There are not many football programs who will go practice on the natural grass field and allow the marching band to practice on the turf. And that happens on a regular occurrence here. And that speaks to the level of respect and teamwork that our employees have with one another. So the amount of activities that go on a turf, there is somebody on that turf pretty much every day, all year long, from, as you said, phys ed classes to marching band to all the sports that we host, not only the sports, but the levels of sports. Our unified Athletes use it as well. The community is out there. I know there's a group that is somewhat three shades of crazy that are there like at 5 a.m. working out on our turf. So yeah, it is used, and it is a big price tag when you see $416,000. But if you think of 10 years and you think of the maintenance that you're saving on it, I mean, there you're coming up with about half of it right there. And then just the ability for athletes to play on a safe field that could be played in all weather. So my previous lifetime as an athletic director, I was an athletic director at a school that had a natural surface football field. And when you got late in the season, the weather was poor and you had to paint the field when it was muddy, and it was just a mess, and it led to all kinds of things. So, yeah.
What shape are the facilities down in the old stadium area where we go down?
What kind of shape is it in?
Yeah,
I mean, it's in good shape, but it's a natural surface.
we're responsible for
No.
maintaining.
No, we don't maintain it at all.
Okay.
No, the city. Yep.
That we just have.
Yeah.
Access to it.
Thank you.
Okay, other comments or questions? Okay, moving on to item 7, community communications. Item A, hearing of the public. Is there anyone here who wishes to be heard? Nope. Okay, we're going to move on to item 8, consent agenda. Item A, resolve to approve certified personnel recommendations. Item B, resolve to approve the check register and bank reconciliation as attached. Item C, resolve to accept donations as presented. Item D, resolve to approve the minutes from the October 13th, 2025 regular board meeting as attached. Item E, resolve to approve consent items A through D. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Well, you will see on the certified staffing agenda, and obviously just as a reminder, the agenda is a little different because we did pull some items off the typical consent agenda onto superintendent's areas. But here we have over 121 years of experience retiring. We have some new retirements on here. I will point out Mr. Chris Hartland, associate principal at the primary school, is choosing to retire at the conclusion of this year, as well as a few other teachers, both special education and in our primary building. So I want to thank those individuals for their many years of service. It's exciting. We do have quite a few staff members across the district that are eligible for retirement. So this number I'm only suspecting to probably grow as the year goes on. At 32 years of service in STRS, which is our certified group, is when they become eligible. But as the union reminds me from time to time, being eligible and being able to are two different things, is what they always remind me. So.
Okay. Check register and bank reconciliation are attached. I'm going to pull up the bank reconciliation just to draw your attention. If you did not notice, what I've done is the suburban healthcare items I've highlighted in this, whatever color that is. So just so you can see that those are the custodial accounts, they're a little bit separated out from everything else, but they do count in our full bank reconciliation that we do. We balanced to the penny again, which was good, because anytime you're bringing on all those different funds and all those different transactions, I want to make sure that that all worked out well for us. So that is why you see that's there. You also see a large deposit in transit. That is also I separated these out as well, so you can see that there's a deposit in transit for Suburban Healthcare or Suburban Health Consortium. Just so you can also kind of differentiate from looking at this, a quick glance of what is for Suburban and what is for the district. But I just want to point out a couple of those changes for you if you were looking through it with a very careful eye. Donations are here. We had several large donations.
One of which is from New Balance. As you can see, New Balance, that's part of the agreement that we as a district signed a few years back with New Balance through BSN. They provided $10,000 worth of football cleats that ironically they got like almost 2 weeks before the end of the season. So they weren't used that many weeks, but they did donate to the football program.
And then the minutes from the October 13th board meeting are also attached.
Comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Gaelic,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes, item passes 5-0. Moving on to item 9, superintendent's recommendations. Item A, new revised board policy first reading. So this is just informational.
I would, if I could, if you don't mind, Mr. Dosa, just point out the first attachment on there for the general public, because when you look at this, there's all these policies. Many of the times the policies are being updated or adjusted due to new legislation, but there's always a summary sheet that will give a quick summary as to what's being updated in one glance.
Do you want to take a little more time and just, there's a lot of policy here and policy change, but just
There is,
go over some of it, or does anyone from the policy committee want to go over some of it?
Yeah, if it's a lot, Jeff, so.
yeah, it is a lot.
And although
first
it's-
read.
It's a lot, but it's not a lot. I guess is what I've said a lot about policy. It by the nature of the list looks like there's a lot there. But many of them are just small corrections. Sometimes it's definitions, sometimes it's legislation that was passed. Like, for example, policy 5223, release time for religious instruction. We have had this policy on and read multiple times over the past 18 months, probably. And the legislators didn't like the way that it was interpreted and the way it was being applied in school districts. So they went in and said, well, you have to allow it a minimum, I believe, of 1 time a week up to 2 times a week. So there's small changes, not much in here. I would put out there drastically changes what we do day to day. But it is in reaction to new legislation. We did pull, this had more on it. Neola is suggesting that we kind of streamline our anti-discrimination and harassment policies, which is a total of like 14 different policies, into like 4. And we need to go over it a little bit more. And I need to make sure that my 2 Title IX coordinators also have enough time to review it and make sure it's not drastically changing what we do from day to day. So that's one that isn't urgent. It's one that I had part of this and I pulled it off just to give us more time. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. One of the ones on here I'll point out is it will talk about student transportation, and the state does now allow us to use vehicles that can transport more than 9 students, vans, but the federal policy does not. So we're staying with 9. We didn't change the policy to go to 12 because change it to go to 12. Yeah, the state allows us, but federal guidelines say no. It's stuff like that comes and goes in policy. But it is all in here. You'll notice things are highlighted in green. Those are the changes that you'll see. And it's also pink or red and struck through on things that were changed. So,
And the only new one is the payment by credit card.
yes, and I'll let my friend on the finance side talk about that one.
So this is something we have to, as you know, in general, the district has a stance that the fees associated with credit card payments have to be paid by the parent or the consumer. So that is true for all but the ones that are actually paying on site, and that was due to a limitation from pay schools. So we are working with pay schools because that will have to go away, according to the policy, which is what the auditors are going to be now auditing, because the Auditor of State's office has says that is not an appropriate use of public funds. So I think we've done the best that we can ensuring that if people are paying on pay schools or paying with credit cards, they are the ones bearing the cost of the fees, according to that guidance. However, due to the limitations, we don't have a choice on site currently. So I don't know what the workaround is going to be, but we do have to address that. So that will be coming, that we will not be allowed to do payments on site for free anymore.
Another example, if you look at the bottom, policies 1613, 3213, and 4213 are all essentially the same policy in different books within our manual. And those are on there because of a clarification of a definition.
Which one was it?
The bottom one, the very bottom one,
Oh, that.
student supervision and welfare. So the policies are being revised because there's a legal definition that has been updated. So just gives you an example why some policies show up and some don't. A lot lately has been legislation. Others, different legal definitions have changed. Just as a refresher, Our policies, when we're revising, adopting, rescinding and all that good stuff, requires 2 reads. This is the first read. The next read will come at the next meetings. So we will seek approval at the next meeting. At the next meeting, probably, you will see the administrative guidelines that go with all these policies. So with a policy, there typically is an administrative guideline. That is how you then interpret the policy or how you carry it out day to day that we use on the administrative side. That does not take 2 reads. That's just a 1 read for those. But we usually take care of the policy. Once we're all satisfied with the policy, then we'll adjust administrative guidelines. So typically the timing works out that way. So they'll be on in December, if not, would be January for sure.
You want to say anything?
Oh, no, I agree with what you're saying that a lot of these are just a lot of minor changes based on especially the budget bill, which they're not budget items, but they're in the budget bill.
Ironic.
I just had a couple of comments. The one is about the use of cell phones
Yep.
during emergencies. And this came up in our policy meeting. There was something in the budget bill that passed over the summer about complete ban of cell phones in schools. Yet there's a policy that we have to come up with some sort of protocol for use of cell phones during a school emergency.
So I'll speak a little bit further about this one. So we're being a little rebellious with this policy. This is legislation. It was in the budget bill. They want to ban the use of cell phones during the instructional day. And that's some of the language they use during the instructional day, which, okay, well, how are we defining the instructional day? Because when you talk about truancy and other places within the Ohio Department of Education, they will say that recess, study hall does not count in the instructional day. However, in the interpretation or the enforcement of the cell phone policy, they want to say that every waking moment the kid is on campus is the instructional day. Plus, it was a January 1 implementation. So we had done a lot of work with our cell phone policy the past 2 to 3 years, and we had made limitations. Elementary, middle school, the cell phones are not allowed to be used. They can be on their person, but they need to be away and out of sight. At the high school, we adjusted from wide open to red and green zones. So when you walk into a classroom, you will see shoe carrier on the back of the door or a box, and depending on the teacher's wishes that day, those phones go into those so the students don't have them on them. And then there are other days that the teacher has the students carry their phone and use their phone within the lesson because it can be a tool for learning. So we have really taken the approach that we want to teach responsible use to our young adults at the high school, and that's the path we had been on. And that was acceptable to the first go round of the mandatory cell phone policy that came to us about 1.5 years ago. Well, members of the state and the governor, that it was their plan all along that it was to be banned during all hours, all minutes of the school day. So they came back out with a new legislation and had the January 1 implementation. We are choosing to do it by the instructional day, the way that instructional day is defined with other items. Not to say we're not going to adjust this 6 or 8 months from now. We will continue to work with our parents and our students and the administration at the high school to see what's best. What Ellen was referring to is that same legislation says, yes, they need to be banned during the instructional day. However, you need to account for cell phones in your emergency management plan. So in case something happens in the building, there needs to be policy that would allow the kids to use their cell phone during an emergency. Sometimes people who write legislation have never set foot in a school building and have no idea what it takes to manage, in our instance, 1,600 kids at our high school. So we are just following the rules, and we have a policy that meets the definition, and we will continue to refine it as we go. I'll leave it at that.
And then I just wanted to just tack on to what Lisa just said, but I did a little bit of research after our policy meeting, and several of these policy updates are the result of House Bill 96, which was the state budget that was passed over this summer. And I think they're not even constitutional, which is just the current state legislature that we're dealing with. But the state constitution says no bill shall contain more than one subject, which shall be clearly expressed in its title, which just by way of example, that release time or the required release time for religious instruction is part of the state budget. Like that has nothing to do with our budget. And it's part of it. So, I mean, I'm going to suggest like we're approving some of these policies that, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody files a lawsuit at some point because the state legislature can't be throwing all these things into the state budget like it's been doing the last few years. The purpose of that part of the Constitution is you can't, the legislatures aren't supposed to combine disharmonious proposals in one piece of legislation because a lot of these things couldn't be passed on their own. They're just being passed because it's part of a bigger bill. So I just want people to be aware of what's happening down in Columbus lately, unfortunately.
And it's the first read, so you get to spend the next 30 days really digging into it, the general public. So after they get done reviewing our ELA adoption grades 6 through 8, they can then come up with the board office and we can look through policy together.
Are you planning to come in on a Saturday
No,
to do?
he is.
But you could if you wanted.
That's right. We'll make arrangements. We'll find a time that works.
Other comments or questions? Okay, we're gonna move on to item B. Well, I gotta read it and get a motion, I think.
Yeah, sorry.
Resolved to approve classified personnel recommendations. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Lots of moving parts here. We have some special ed assistants that we're hiring, food service workers, some substitutes, and bus aides. Handful of resignations. And some unpaid leaves. We have one retirement here of a bus driver who will be retiring effective December 31st.
Can we turn around and have them sub?
Many of our retirees do sub for us, which we're very fortunate. And we do have about 4 that are in process as far as becoming certified to drive bus.
Any comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Gaelick,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Abstain.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes, item passes 4-0. Moving on to item D, I think.
Oh, sorry.
Resolved to approve supplemental personnel recommendations. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So here we have just our supplemental athletic workers for winter. Many of our basketball coaches and winter sports are on here. You do realize, or you will see that Mr. Rings is volunteering again this year to help out with middle school basketball, as well as I think he was on the last agenda. I don't think he's on this one, but Mr. Bacco at the high school also is volunteering to help out with high school basketball.
He was last.
So it's nice to see that some of our students get to interact with some of our administrators in a much different light.
Definitely.
And then there's one athletic worker, just to bring that up.
Any comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Gaelick,
Abstain.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes, item passes 4-0. Moving on to item F. Resolved to approve the proposal with Field Turf USA Inc. for the replacement of the BBH Stadium synthetic turf utilizing the interlocal purchasing system TIPS cooperative contract as attached. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Like I said, we have some turf samples if you'd like to check them out after the meeting, but this work is scheduled to be done this summer. Or will be scheduled to be done this summer.
Any comments or questions?
I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to this, but are we paying for this all out of the turf fund or is there other contributions from other groups?
This is all coming out of the turf fund.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Gaelic,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Yes.
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes, item passes 5-0. Item H, resolve to approve the middle school eighth grade trip to Gettysburg, PA and Washington DC as attached. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Our traditional eighth grade trip to DC, the cost this year has gotten to $715 per student. And I think the newest admin at the middle school has pulled the short straw to do the chaperoning of this trip this year. It would be Mrs. Katie Ma'am.
Any comments or questions?
I think people know this, but this is such a great trip and a great opportunity for our students. My husband has been a chaperone on it multiple times and he just can't say enough about how great, how well planned it is, what a great job our staff do, and the compliments the kids get when anywhere they go. So, and so people know they have to dress up the whole time and they cannot bring cell phones on the trip. So it's it's not only a great experience for them to learn about our country and Washington DC, but to have the experience of being phone free for like 4 or 5 days. So
Every student is expected to attend?
No, it's optional.
Okay. I see.
Mhm.
And then what happens to the students who are left behind?
They have alternative programming on those days.
Typically, how many are left behind?
I couldn't tell you with certainty.
Okay.
I think most go.
We do have some scholarship funds that that members of our community have donated. The American Legion also steps in and helps out a little bit too. So,
Okay.
but there are some who choose not to go.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
They could review our curriculum if they were,
Correct?
just in case. Yes, maybe that might be something, a different perspective.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Gaelic,
yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Yes.
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes, item passes 5-0. Item J, resolve to approve the high school athletic overnight trip as attached. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
This is, we saw one just like this last month for the boys team. This is for the girls team. There was just a error on the form that we had them correct. So all parties have signed off on the form and is submitted tonight.
Comments or questions?
My only comment is I'm really excited to see that we have grown our girls wrestling program. I don't know, for those of either being asked just a couple years ago, we only had one girl that was out and she is exceptional. She was exceptional at the time. And Mr. McPherson, who is coaching for us, was asking for us to, provide coaching for our girls and building the program. So I just think it's exciting to see that we've got enough interest and enough girls doing it that they're going to very competitive tournaments.
They
Yeah,
have girls in
so-
the youth program as well.
Yeah, so
That's great.
and that was really a few short years ago,
Yes.
maybe like 3.
Mhm.
Yeah, so.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Gaelic,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Yes.
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes, item passes 5-0. Moving on to item L, resolve to approve the wraparound expert service agreement as attached. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
This is for assumption, so it's passed through for us.
Comments or questions?
I just want, why again do we do this for the private schools?
There's moaning, groaning.
Well, I don't, do you know if this is auxiliary or IDEA? Yeah.
You really wanna go through that question? No, so they're proportional funds, so depending, so we have 5 non-pubs that are around us, depending if they want to participate in towards the program. Based on the number of those that qualify, they're identified, not just Brecksville kids. It could be a North Royalton, it could be a Highland school. A student that is attending in towards those non-pubs, but if they are identified, then they get to count it towards our numbers. So then our money that we get from our IDA, which was around like $804,000, they get to take that from us. So the amount that we would normally get on top of like whatever they have a formula that comes through. So the more kids that they have that are identified, they get to have access to those funds. Our funds have not increased, but they have continued to have an increase in their enrollment of kids that are identified that are taken away from those funds. So, last year it was $25,000. This year it was up to $76,000. And then I just got a notice that, some of our other events have increased their enrollment almost by double. So that is then we're gonna see that in towards our budget plan for next year. That doesn't include all of the evaluations or FTEs that we have to provide, to get those done, so.
And that also, as you
Staff.
talk about
We're
that,
also providing.
it's not just Bristol Broadview Heights residents attending those non-publics. It could be a student, for example, from Highland, Medina Highland, attending that school that's within our boundaries. And then they get to then have access to those funds that haven't grown in over 6 years.
Because they attend the school in our school district,
Right.
residential area.
So not only are they getting voucher money from the state, they're getting more money that we
Federal
have to
money.
pay them.
They also have access to scholarship funds, as well. So there's, and then when they do scholarship funds, we also, especially if they're, at Brightfield Broadview Heights, we are then responsible for providing a FAPE IEP of what we would do. So that is our staff attending IEP meetings as well as writing IEPs.
So it's not only those federal and state funds going, it's the fixed or sunk costs, I would say, of our employees and their time that have to go and administer it and sit in meetings. Like, for example, Mrs. Spangler and I sat in an 1.5 hour meeting last week with parents from another school district because they were contesting the fact that the team decision was that they didn't suspect a disability. So here I am sitting at a table across from parents that aren't even our residents or in our school district, and then having to make a decision on what we're going to do to move forward
For an hour and a half.
for an 1.5 hours.
Yeah, we're responsible for we always say it's like a double dose of child fine. That school is responsible, but because we are the district of service, like in that area, we're responsible for it.
You asked.
Yes.
Mind-boggling. And also the staff has to write IEPs that are defensible in a courtroom of kids that they don't work with, they haven't met, they don't know anything about.
So I'm glad you bring that up, and I don't mean to get on this topic, but we might as well, because because that's just how we are, right, Craig? We're
Mhm.
transparent, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, the reason why that even got to the level of having a meeting here with Cassie and I was because when the team got together to discuss the needs of a student, not all of the information was available at the meeting. So some parties that were invited to the meeting, either one didn't bring the data they needed, or they weren't invited to the meeting and did not represent the child appropriately in my eyes. So we're having them have the meeting again. So we had a meeting once with personnel from the school, the private school, and then personnel from our school district, school psychologist, for example, special ed coordinator, for example, Jason Black, who serves as a district representative at most of those meetings, will have to now meet again with the parents and with the new data that had come to the surface and determine if the child, if we suspect the child has a disability or not, which then we'll move forward with whatever needs to happen for the best interest of the student. We're not saying that the student shouldn't get the services they deserve to get and need to get. That's not what we're talking about here. We all want to serve students and do right by students. But the processes and the things that we're required to do put a strain on many different parties.
They can also choose, do they want to educate and the level of needs, and they can also choose what services they want to provide. So they can decide if they want to provide OT, PT, speech, just based on it. They still get the same amount of funds, but what services they choose to provide is up to them. Where when they are coming to the public education, we do what's best for kids and serve their needs. That is not necessarily the same. And no, obviously we have a relationship with our non-pubs. We have to work hand in hand when we're doing those evaluations. So obviously nothing towards those staff members, but the unfair expectations of what that looks like is definitely, and they will defer, students depending on the level of need if they do not feel like they can meet those. Which then leads to more extensive needs that we are responsible for going. I know we have to bring things like outplacement contracts to make sure that we're having the most appropriate LRE, but we're also constantly looking at our setting to see what we can do to make that better, where they don't have to do
And
that.
LRE is?
So least restrictive environment. So obviously the closest that we can, provide our students' needs to the gen ed setting we want to, but obviously the more extreme needs that they have, yeah, we have to meet them where they're at. They do not have to do that.
We got her all wound up and we let her go there. So. Just
Any
some of
other-
the things we do day to day that people don't realize, I guess, is the moral of that story.
And all of those costs get calculated in our per pupil cost, just to make the calculation more fun.
Sendera contract, the OT and PT that have to be a part of those evaluations or sit on those IEPs, because those ETRs are legally bounding to us, also get calculated into that management too.
Any other comments or questions?
Well,
Roll-
I've got a lot.
I was gonna say.
I've got a lot, but I'm gonna just,
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. I only have 2 board meetings. But I mean,
Getting unfiltered.
yeah,
Well,
I
technically
mean-
one after this then.
that is so ludicrous that we are on the hook for all that. And it's not, I have no problem with, like, I want to educate all students, but the burdens that our state legislature is putting on us. And then they're just basically handing out all this other money to these voucher students, like who,
We want to educate all students, no matter what their abilities or exceptionals are, but the fact that even know that they have those and the limited funding that they're giving to us, they're now stripping away and giving it to our non-clubs that don't have to do that, is infuriating, obviously, as you can tell, I'm
yeah.
pretty, yeah.
I mean, and I'm just gonna, so I have had numerous communications with our state senator Serino, our state senator, Tom Patton, and Representative Mike Davila, and all of them are big voucher advocates. They don't have any problem with what's going on. So I'm just gonna put it out there that we need to stop putting people like that in office, because they are really, really, really taxing our public school students.
It's spreading our kids, it's less opportunities.
Yes,
Yep.
correct.
So back on wraparound expert service agreement assumption, are there any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Gaelic,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes,
Mrs.
reluctantly.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
yes,
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes, item passes 5-0. Item N, resolve to approve the wraparound expert service agreement as attached. May I have a motion?
so moved.
Second,
This is for a substitute SLP for our students here at BBHCSD.
Any comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Gaelic,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Yes,
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes, item passes 5-0. Item P, resolve to approve the 2025-2026 PSI service agreement as attached.
yeah, man.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Sorry.
This is for St. Albert the Great.
I just told her to put her seatbelt on.
Comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Gaelic,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Yes,
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes, item passes 5-0. Moving on to item 10, treasurer's recommendations. Item A, resolve to approve the agreement for deposit of public funds between Huntington National Bank and Suburban Health Consortium as attached. May I have a motion?
so moved.
Second,
This is just a depository agreement required by Ohio Revised Code. Since we are doing banking, we have a banking relationship with Huntington Bank now. So this is a period of 5 years.
And just a reminder, so Craig in our treasurer's office is now the fiduciary for Suburban Health Consortium. So they're basically managing the money. So this is banking related to that.
That's what happens when Craig and Jeff don't miss an insurance meeting.
I know.
Get volunteered for things.
Yeah, voluntold. Comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Gaelic,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Yes.
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes. Item passes 5-0. Item C, resolve that the board authorize advertisement of bid specification for the campus master plan Phase 2 New Hilton driveway project for the amount of $2,490,000 as identified in the attached project schedule. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Or at that point, so the bids will go out. They will be due on December 19th at 1 PM in this room. And we are hoping for some bid day savings. Because there's a few more things we want to do around this project that bid day savings will allow us to be able to do.
Fingers crossed. Any comments or questions?
When's our next meeting? It's not, it won't be before the December meeting. Okay.
It's December 10th, sorry.
Oh, right. Okay.
Which I just want to say thanks to Rachel and Jeff and Craig and then Brian Koss for getting this off the ground. Because I know it sounds like there was a lot of obstacles.
We want it to also be completed by the end of July. So that when all the traffic shows back up on campus, it's ready to go.
Ready to drive past our new tennis courts.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Have a lot of asphalt laid on
Yep.
campus this summer.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Gaelic,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes, item passes 5-0. Item E, resolve to approve the disposal of equipment as attached. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
These are all of those previous wonderful ELA books that we purchased with our previous program that have absolutely zero monetary value any longer. So these are mostly the guided readings, I believe, right? They're the leveled reading that are illegal in the state of Ohio.
There's no other entity we could.
No, we
Considered-
tried.
That'd be considered a banned book.
We tried to send them, Cindy LaVoy tried to send them overseas, other states. No one will take them.
Wow.
No
Okay.
one.
Oh,
They're not
even,
aligned with the science of reading. They're the antithesis of that. So that's why they're considered. Yeah.
Could use it for the bonfire next fall, maybe.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
There you go.
Comments or
Yep.
comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Gaelic,
yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Yes.
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes, item passes 5-0. Item G, resolve to approve the annual credit card compliance report as attached by the compliance officer. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I apologize. This was a last minute ad because we were waiting to see what our rebate was. So I will bring this up so you can take a look at this. This is done by Liz Alexa, who's the credit card compliance officer per board policy. So this outlines the different credit cards the district has and what the limits are for those credit cards. This is like a main card we don't use. We only use this card. It's under lock and key, just to pay our premiums for the workers' comp. So we do get the rebates because we can use, we do get, money that comes back to the school district. So we received, and normally this is done in November. That's why it was also last minute, was because I'm not really sure if Chase just forgot to send us our rebate, but we normally get the rebate in September and then this is board approved in November. But after 2 weeks of tracking it down, which is the first time that's happened, we got a rebate of $1,021.07. That money goes back into the general fund. So this is required by board policy to be done annually for the compliance officer to alert the board of credit cards, number of credit cards and their limits, along with any rebates and what happens to that money.
Comments or questions?
Do each of the buildings have a credit card?
Not all of them, because they don't. You'll notice that the elementary school does not. The middle school has one. We actually keep that here because they actually don't use it. The high school does use theirs a lot. Athletics uses theirs a lot. And then people can also check out, like the Board of Education, this $5,000 one. They're allowed to come and we use that for certain things, but they check them out and check them back in.
As a former elementary principal, why doesn't the elementary school?
They don't want one. I've offered it to them. Yeah.
Okay.
They are welcome to have one if they want.
They don't go many trips, after
Oh,
hours, weekends,
Yeah.
things like
Yeah.
that. Where a
Just not
lot
as
of
much
these are
food.
used.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Gaelic,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Yes.
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes, item passes 5-0. Item 11, executive session. Item A, resolve to enter into executive session to discuss the appointment and compensation of a public official. And I have a motion.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call.
Mrs. Gaelic,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Yes.
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes, we'll be in executive session to finish this topic. And then when we come out, we're just going to adjourn the meeting. So there will be no more board business. So thank you all for showing up.
Here's
Okay. You're good to go.
All right. It is 8:31 PM and we are exiting executive session. We are moving on to item 12, closing items. Item A, announcements. Next regular meeting of the Board of Education is scheduled for December 10th, 2025 at 6 PM. Item B, resolve to adjourn the meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Roll call.
Mrs. Gaelic.
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer.
yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Yes.
Ms. O'Meara,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes, the meeting is adjourned. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. See you in December.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope you get to relax a little bit next week.
Yeah, I'm going.